Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Camp Counselor Clay from the Hills Maniacs, and today I answer the question in the title of this video: are there inconsistencies in Friday the 13th? So before we get started, I do want to say, spoiler for this movie, Friday the 13th, and possibly some other ones that we will reference throughout this video. So if you haven't seen Friday the 13th or any of the sequel movies, and you don't want to be spoiled, then shut this video off now. But otherwise, we're going to get into this. That's the only warning you're going to get, that there are spoilers. So basically, if you haven't seen another inconsistencies video that I did on this channel, how it works is I go in and rewatch or watch for the first time any movie, and I go in and find things that didn't make sense or just flaws in the movie, things that were left out for some reason, and I bring them and I talk to you guys about them because you probably have the same questions that I do. And so today's topic will be Friday the 13th. So the first question I want to bring up with Friday the 13th is, where exactly is Camp Crystal Lake? Because I don't think it's ever mentioned in the movie where it is, or in any of the sequel movies, and there are a ton of sequel movies. I don't think it's actually ever mentioned where exactly Camp Crystal Lake is. I know it's in a certain town, and they do mention the name of the town later on in the series, but they never say like what state it's in, and I know it probably doesn't matter, but it would just like to be, to give me some context of where exactly in the world this is happening. And I know, because like in Jurassic Park, at the beginning it pops up and says Isla Nublar, off the coast of Costa Rica. Well, this one doesn't even say, it just pops up and says Camp Crystal Lake, and so we're just supposed to know that it takes place at Camp Crystal Lake, but we're not supposed to know where Camp Crystal Lake is. And on that note, we know that, because they tell us later on that a young boy, Jason Voorhees, drowned in the lake. So basically, if Jason drowned and they knew this, why would they reopen the camp? Because they reopen the camp and a couple of counselors get killed. And then they close down the camp again and then reopen it for the start of this movie. So the movie can take place. And it doesn't make sense. If you know all this stuff is happening, why are you reopening Camp Crystal Lake? I mean, to me, that just doesn't make any sense. Why would you reopen a place where you know people are getting killed? It doesn't make sense, because they do it throughout the entire series. They close the camp and reopen it, or end up living near the camp. And it's like, why? You know what goes on here. And so, why would you want to put people through that? That doesn't make any sense. But anyways, let's move on. The next point I want to talk about is one of the main characters, whose name is Annie. We see her at the beginning of the movie. She's walking down the street, and she's trying to get to Camp Crystal Lake because she's a counselor. And she ends up going into a diner and asking how to get to the camp, and she gets a ride with a trucker, and he drives her to the cemetery right down the road from Camp Crystal Lake, where she ends up walking. But my question is, where did she come from? How did she get to this town? Because she's just walking down the road. Like, we never see her get out of a car. We never see, like, she never says, like, did her car break down somewhere? Did she not have a car? Did she walk from her house? How far away does she live? Like, they never answer any of these questions. So it's like, where does she come from? She just pop up in this town? Like, yeah, we see her walking down the sidewalk, but how'd she get there? And I don't think they ever answer it in the movie either. And it's not like it's that big a deal, but I mean, if you're gonna have one of the main characters just show up, you should probably give a backstory on. Well, she's not really a main character as she gets killed off kind of quickly in the movie. Spoiler, but still, she is. You know, they follow her as being like a main person, and then this ends up happening anyways. But on that note, I said the truck driver drops her off at the cemetery down the road from camp, and she has to walk the rest of the way to camp because he won't go down that road, literally. So she's walking down towards camp. I don't know how far down the road it is. And she sees a car come past, and the car stops and picks her up. She asks the person to take her to Camp Crystal Lake. And at that point in time, she, well, we don't know this, but she is talking to somebody about her and about, you know, going to camp. And then they drive past the entrance to the camp, and he brings it up like, hey, we just drove past the entrance to the camp. Well, we find out that this person, we don't find out here, but we find out later on who this person is, because it is the killer of the movie. So it is Pamela Voorhees, the mother of Jason Voorhees, who ends up being the killer in this movie. And my question is, why didn't she just kill Annie when Annie got in her car? Like, she chases her through the woods and then ends up killing Annie in the woods. Why didn't she just kill her right when she got in the car? It would have been a whole lot easier. Like, what was she gonna do? Was she gonna take her back to her house and give her a cup of tea and become friends with her and then kill her? Like, what were you planning on doing? Just get her in the car and kill her. That's the whole point of the movie, isn't it? I get they probably wanted to have this chase scene at the beginning of the movie, but really? Like, you have this killer who's just killing people for, you know, just anywhere, and she gets in the car and she's got to act all friendly towards the girl. If you kill her, she ain't going to tell anybody, so what's it matter? So just, you know, just kill her and get it over with. We don't need this 5-minute chase scene of you running through the woods. But that's my question. Why didn't she just kill her in the car when she had the chance? I don't understand that part. But the next point I want to bring up is, if you've seen Friday the 13th, well, any of them after the first one, you know that Jason Voorhees is the killer, and he has this like weird sound. I don't know if it's his breathing. I don't know like if it's just the music that they have in the background for him, but it's that or something, you know, along those lines. But they do that in this movie, and my question is why? Because if they want us to associate that noise with Jason Voorhees, then why would you do it for Pamela when we haven't even had a movie with Jason as the killer yet? Like, it would have made more sense if, like, there was a movie where Jason was the killer and then something happened and he died, and then it comes back and in the next movie we don't know who the killer is for the next movie. So they do this music again to make you think that it's Jason, but it's not actually Jason. Like, that would make more sense if that made sense how I explained it. But I don't get why throughout the entire movie, whenever she pops up, that they had to do this, and then they give the same sound to Jason. As like, does it run in the family? Is this a, you know, is that supposed to symbolize his mother by him having this noise? Like, what was the point of giving it to her if we haven't even... We're supposed to associate that with Jason, and we haven't even had a movie that had Jason in it yet. So she didn't need that scary background noise, or her breathing, whatever that's supposed to be. And on that note, how doesn't anybody hear that in the movie? If that is his breathing, how doesn't anybody hear that? It's like Jaws with the theme song. Like, nobody hears that when Jaws is coming. Anyways, so my next point I want to bring up is there's another counselor named Brenda who ends up going off and going to sleep by herself in her cabin, and while she's laying there, she hears this noise say, "Help me!" It's this little girl or little kid in the background saying, "Help me," in the woods. And so she gets up, like any sane person, she gets up and goes into the woods to look for said child. Now, my question is, why couldn't Pamela Voorhees have just gone into the cabin and killed her? Because it was Pamela making the noise, and she was trying to lure her out so she could kill her. Why couldn't she just go into the cabin and kill her? Because we've seen her go into the cabins before and kill some of the other counselors. So it doesn't make sense why she couldn't just have gone in, or tried to get her to like come out a little bit, right out to the door where she could kill her or something. Nobody else was in the cabin, so it's not like she had to hide from somebody. She could have just popped in, killed her, dragged her body wherever and left. She wouldn't have had to worry about anybody else seeing her if that's what she was worried about. Why couldn't she have just gone into the cabin and killed her? That's what the whole point of the movie has been about, was that she is this creative, killing people in different ways with different objects and all that other stuff. She's killed people outside, she's killed people in the woods, she's killed people, on the road. And you're hesitating to go into a cabin with one person in it. Like, that doesn't make sense. I get it's for the movie, to build up the suspense, but it doesn't make any sense. You don't need that in this movie. You don't need her to leave the cabin like any sane person would do, right? And go off by yourself into the woods to follow up a noise that you think is a little kid. Especially after the rumors of Camp Crystal Lake. I don't know why you would leave your cabin. I personally wouldn't have went to the camp anyways, but that's just me. On that note, Brenda ends up dead. She ends up getting killed, and then her body comes flying through the window in front of Alice, which is the final girl of the movie. The person we're supposed to care about. But her body ends up coming flying through the window, and then Alice runs out, and a car pulls up, and Pamela Voorhees gets out of the car, and she says she was a friend of the person that owns the camp, and she'll help Alice and all that other stuff. Alice doesn't know she's the killer, and at this point we still don't know she's the killer. But my question is, if Pamela Voorhees was in a car and drives up later, a couple minutes, like a second or a minute later after her body goes through the window, who threw the body through the window? Like, did Pamela throw her through the window, run back to her car, and then drive up right as Alice was coming out? Did somebody else help her throw the body through the window? Because this was the first time throughout the movie that we see somebody fly through a window. And we'll see it later on in the series when Jason does it. So my question is, maybe, and this could be a theory, did Jason help his mother kill these counselors? And did Jason throw this girl through the window, or did Mrs. Voorhees throw it? Because I don't think Mrs. Voorhees would have had the strength to do it. I really don't. I mean, she's an older woman, so I mean, she could have. I don't know. Like, we do see her hold her own against Alice in a fight, but I just don't think she could have thrown a fully grown person through a window. But anyways, so that was the question I had, was who threw the body through the window, and if it was Mrs. Voorhees, how did she get back to the car that fast? And why did she then have to drive up like that? Why couldn't she have just, but anyways, the next point I want to bring up is, and I'm gonna ask this for every single horror movie ever. When you knock down the killer, why do you not kill them right then? Why do you not grab their weapon, grab their knife, their axe, their chainsaw, whatever the heck they had, and kill them? No, you knock them down and they're knocked out on the ground. So you run away? Why would you not grab the thing and kill the person trying to kill you? It doesn't make any sense. It happens in every horror movie. They do it in Halloween. When they knock down Michael Myers, they run away. They don't bother to see if he's dead. Do you think hitting him in the head is going to kill him? Like, no. Or just because you shoot him doesn't mean he's dead. Go cut his head off. Kill him. But she doesn't end up, she does end up eventually, Alice does end up eventually killing Pamela Voorhees. She decapitates her. And she's the only person left. But why, you could have stopped that entire rest of that sequence if you would have just killed her the first time you knocked her down. I don't understand what I get. Again, it's part of the movie because you need to build up the suspense and everything else. But still, logically, like, I don't know what I would do if I were in that situation. Hopefully, I'm never in that situation where some crazed killer comes after me. But like, I would probably try to kill said killer if there was somebody chasing after me. And the last point I want to bring up in this video is because they talk the entire movie about Jason Voorhees drowning, but then we see in the second movie, so spoiler for Friday the 13th Part 2, that Jason is a fully grown man and he is still alive, which means he never drowned as a kid, because you can't drown as a kid and then be a fully grown adult in the next movie. That's not how that works. If you die as a kid, you should stay as a kid, and you will never grow up if you're dead as a kid. So the question then is, obviously Jason didn't die. We don't know that right away, because everybody says he drowned, but once you get to the second movie, it doesn't make sense how he would have drowned as a kid. But my question is, does Pamela Voorhees at this point in time know that Jason didn't die? And if so, why is she killing camp counselors? Because her whole motivation was to get revenge for Jason, because the counselors weren't watching him as he drowned in the lake. But if she knows he's not dead, why is she doing this? Because if that was her motivation, was to get revenge for her dead son who's not dead, if she knows he's not dead, then there was no point of her doing any of this. And if she doesn't know he's dead, then where has Jason been this entire time that he was hiding out from his mom and everybody else in the world, that nobody would know where Jason was? And if Pamela does know, is she just that psychotic that she just wants to kill people? Did she make up some story about her son Jason dying just so she'd have an excuse to kill people? and it's never answered there. But then again, they kind of wanted us to think Jason was dead until the second one when Jason becomes the killer. So really, I guess they could have saved that question, or I could have saved that question for part 2 of this. But so anyways, guys, so that was my inconsistencies in Friday the 13th part 1, or Friday the 13th. If you haven't already checked out the other inconsistencies videos on this channel, I did the 3 Jurassic Park inconsistency movies, or inconsistencies in the 3 Jurassic Park movies, and stay tuned for what else we have going on this channel. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, and leave a comment, and stay tuned for Halloween, which is October 25th through the 31st. We will be uploading a video every single day of the week related to some kind of Halloween or horror related thing. So stay tuned for that. Check out what else we got on this channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.